Hi, I'm Karaman, and this is the recorded discussion section of my grade 7 LCM video examination. Now, our first piece is Mine in D. Now, what is the historical and stylistic context of this piece, and how did that affect my interpretation? Now, uh, this piece is a classical air piece and was composed by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Well, everybody knows Mozart. He is very famous. He is known for his operas, his symphonies, his concertos, and many other pieces, of course. Though there are some speculations that Mozart didn't finish this piece. Instead, it was finished by Maximilian Stadler, a friend of Mozart. Well, there is some proof to suggest this, like the fact that there are too many experimental harmonies, especially in such a small piece. Another thing to support this is the fact that this piece was written published 10 years after Mozart's death, along with two other pieces of Maximilian Stadler. So that's why some people think so. Now, since this is a classical air piece, harmonic and melodic lines are very separate, so I had to apply cantabile to express that. But also take into account the classical era composition and the classical era's predeterministic value. I had to pay attention to every little detail that Mozart had put into this piece. Yes. And also, describe the form and the main key of this piece. Now, our main key is, as the name suggests, D, and we have a form of A, B, and a variation. Now, our first A section is from bar 1 to bar 16, and our second B section is from bar 17 to bar 32, and then from 33 to the end, we have a final A variation section. Now, like many other classical air pieces, this piece quickly modulates to its dominance, and as you can see in bar 12. And we can also see a likewise moment in bar 40 where it modulates back to its tone, aka its main key. And also, we can see the experimental harmonies I was talking about earlier between bars 17 and 20 in the B section. And our second piece is D'un Jardin Clair. Now, this is a romantical era piece with some 20th century characteristics, and it was composed by Lily Boulanger. Well, Lily's mother was a singer and her father was a composer, so she already had a head start in music. She was so talented, in fact, that when she was 19 years old, she won the Prix de Rome award with her piece Faust et Helene. Now, this piece is an impressionist piece. Well, what are impressionist pieces? In impressionist pieces, rather than transferring actual concepts in a direct and detailed way, the artist conveys us the feelings the thing around us. So in the end, we get this foggy and misty piece. This affects, of course, many other things. Like, because of that, this piece is very fluent and organic. And also, because of that, the harmonic and melodic lines in this piece are often melting into each other, so I had to carefully apply cantabile to express the lyrical structure of this piece. I also had to pay attention to every little detail, like our first piece, in order to keep the fake improvisational tone that this piece has. Now, describe the form and the main key of this piece. Now, since this is an impressionist piece, the transitions in this piece are very vague, but still noticeable. And first of all, our main key. Our main key is B, and we have a form of A, B, and C in this piece. Our first A section is from bar 1 to bar 20, and in this A section, we can see our main key between bars 1 and 8. Our B section is from bar 21 to bar 32, and we can also see an altered version of our main theme between bars 32 and 40. And from bar 40 to the end, we have a huge C section, which is essentially a large cadenza. And our final piece is Low Side Blues by Joanne McGregor. Now, Low Side Blues is a 20th century piece, as its name suggests. And it was composed by Joanne McGregor, and she is currently the head of piano at the Royal Academy of Music. Now, first of all, before the stylistic and historical context, this is my favorite piece because this piece employs many new techniques I hadn't seen, like the tremolo at bar 32 or the glissando in bar 21. And I also believe that the rhythmical changes in this piece really break up the common times mathematical and rational structure. The rhythmical changes, such as in bar 20 or 36. Now, what is the historical and stylistic context of this piece and how did it affect my interpretation? As I said, this is a 20th century piece. Well, first of all, let me talk about the history of blues for a little bit. Blues started to originate in 1870s among African American slaves as a word chant, simple ballads or religious chants, you name it. And then with the abolishment of slavery in America, it started to become more popular. And by the time we come to 1910, it started to merge with all local cultures and traditions. So it formed its own subgenres like Delta blues or Memphis blues. By the time we come to 1940s, we can see that this blues form is starting to fuse with jazz. And so from there, it started to fuse in the base of blues that we're all familiar with today. Now, this piece uses the 12-bar blues structure. Well, it uses a modified version, but that isn't surprising considering this is a 20th century piece. And also, the eclectic range of music that Joan McGregor has played is also another thing to support this argument. Well, besides, 20th century is really known for the deconstruction of well-known and commonly used musical techniques. Now, also, because Joan McGregor has played an eclectic range of music, we can see that this has affected her writing, as this piece has a huge dynamic scale, and I had to be careful of that while playing. Now, describe the form and the main key of this piece. Now, the main key of this piece is C minor, but this piece often utilizes the C minor pentatonic scale. And our form is A variation B. Now, our first A section is from bar 1 to bar 10. And this A section is the first part of our modified 12 blues structure. And then from bar 11 to bar 20, we have our second A variation section, which is the second part to our 12 bar blues structure. And then from bar 21 to bar 32, we have our B section. Now, from the end of the B section, aka bar 32 to the end, we have a cadenza.